20
Yeah,
minutes before.
yeah, for sure. And like one of the earlier podcasts that I did, I actually had Dean and stuff on, but it was just a schmozzle. I think someone like swiped out of the app, so it just didn't record their stuff. Dean's like camera didn't work, so it ended up just being like an episode that no one listened to. And we touched on it a little bit there as well. And then obviously I actually ran into him at Torian. So he come down on and did like the community workout. And just to give context, Dean's one of the owners of the championship series as well. So basically the way that they've lined it out, and like obviously the date selection lines up massively with like what they're trying to achieve, and that's to give opportunities to athletes that essentially are at a high level but potentially miss out on Torian, right? And as we've said before, now it's like Torian itself as an event is super, super, super competitive to make it into, right? And there's a lot of athletes in Australia that train really, really hard and are still at a high level and just maybe like don't get the opportunity to sort of express that if they don't make it to Torian in some capacity. So they've placed Oceania essentially the week following Torian to give those athletes an opportunity to do a high level competition. High level meaning high level workouts in terms of the programming being something that closely represents a semifinals level, but also the professionalism and like the standard in which like the comp is organized as well, right? Like this is live streamed. Like we were there last year, and it definitely is something where it has a higher level competition feel to it. It doesn't just feel like a local sort of throwdown, right? Like it definitely feels like a higher level competition. So it's just about them giving the opportunity to those athletes that potentially miss out. And I think that there's I think it's a very like I don't know what word I'm looking for, but it's a good like service to sort of add into the space. Like they're doing a service to that like community within the CrossFit space. So like I hope it is something that like, works out for them, because it's like, I've got like a huge crew that are going up there, and like there's a lot of people that have looked at this as almost like the potential peak of their year, the same way the Torian level athletes look at Torian as their year, right? It's just whether their family and friends and like the CrossFit community as a whole can continue to back an event like this, because which hopefully they do. But I know like we spoke about it, and he asked more so like what you think as well. So like when you sort of look at an event like this, what was your first, like, I guess, after hearing that conversation, what do you think?
So just to clarify, last year when we went, they had the two separate divisions. Are they still running the two division format, or are they condensed it down to one?
So it's three. They still have the elite, they have the intermediate, and they have the scaled.
Okay. So they're saying that their elite is looking to target potential semifinals hopeful. Is that what we're saying? We're saying that it's that fringe athlete, potentially, look, if we're talking numbers wise, from say 40 through to 80, 70, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I think like
Give or take.
Yeah, I think on paper that's sort of where it's at. I think like in reality, it's come more to like maybe the level of athlete that's like mid to like lower pack teams like Torian type athlete.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe like the high level RX down under athletes. And then some of the mid pack, like, down under indies and stuff like that for as well.
Look, my initial thoughts is I think the intent is in the right place. My mind straight away, just from a business perspective, goes to wondering how it can also be commercially viable for them, because I think it's a hard balancing act to balance, what people want to watch. They want to get spectators. You want to do all this. Now, granted, you're going to get people that are competing that will have their inner circle come. They might have their people from their gym come and things like that. But in regards to getting traction on a larger scale, and this is a question more than it is an answer, but I just don't know how you're going to do that without some big names.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose I wonder if there's a way where they can integrate the two so that it sort of hits the best of both worlds.
Mm-hmm.
Because you look at an event like Torian before it was even a semi-final, and I think a large part of that's commercial success outside of obviously tourism dollars from the government and things like that is their ability to integrate community events to an elite event.
Yeah.
So we've seen that model works, and my only concern for Oceania is if we water down the elite side of it, will that just water down the event as a whole? Or can it pick up steam as just being that more, I'm trying to think of terms that aren't like B tier
Yeah.
Event.
Yeah.
Other sports have it, but there's other sports like tennis that have, the challenger circuit, which is that next level down from the ATP pros. So it can be done, but then you're talking about sports that have been around forever and sports that have such a huge depth of both participation and money. So I don't know. I would love to see it work, but I think it's going to be a challenging thing to try and pull off. And that doesn't mean it's not worth trying to pull it off. So my hat goes off to these guys for giving it a crack and giving it a go and seeing where the dust settles compared to last year. And I suppose they'll have the data after they execute this year to
figure that out,
make those calls, make adjustments and things like that. And sorry, you go.
No, like I agree. Like you said, it's definitely more of a question than a statement too, right? It's like, can it work? And like, I think from my perspective, looking at it, like as a coach and having people prepare for it. And I always use the analogy of like, graded, like say, whether it's you're obviously familiar with Australian rules football, right? You've got like multiple grades and like people look at this as like a linear progression to like where the top is and like how they perform and they're able to essentially take a step the ladder. In CrossFit, it is such a massive jump to go from quarterfinals to semifinals. Like it's literally like going from some age group level local football rules to like, here you go, like you're in first grade now. And when I see events like this, I think it's a lot easier to get like a buy-in from people. Is also like it creates like this next step in the chain that people can sort of get that same level of like the same experience in terms of what it feels like to do those bigger level comps, but just not at the same level of competition. And I think that a lot of the success from an event like this comes from the perspective that it holds from the community itself as well. Like whether you do get those people who back it and buy into it, and because they are that type of athlete that they're aiming for, whether the elites decide to do it or not, or it goes down that route of, like you said, where they do just become like another big, elite level competition, place themselves at some other part of the year that doesn't have as much interference, and then they just build these like community sort of events into it as well. I think like I personally enjoyed seeing people's preparation and lead up into it, because it's like, even for some of the people that are doing like the like the non-elite, the intermediate sort of preparation for this, it's like they're able to approach it the same way that someone would even at like a higher level competition, even though it's relatively very, very different. But once again, it's like, do the people who that services they're provided for actually back it and use it? Because if they don't, then it won't sort of hang around, right? And then it's like, good to go. So, correct. So, but obviously the other thing now that's only come out of as of recent, and this is because it actually did only come out recently, but it was the backing of the event as like a WFP partnered event as well. So like a lot of the stuff that they've been posting recently is to do with the P1, which I actually haven't even clicked on to see what the race itself looks like, but
I think it's an iteration. It's a High Rock style workout, but tweaked from what I can understand.
And I mean, the box step overs Sandbag carry.
So this is actually an event from one of the WFPs last year, which I think it played out very well. And then they're like, oh, this could be a thing in and of itself.
Yeah, this was the event one from one of the tour stops. Is that right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, cool. And so like this has essentially become like a part of the weekend as well, right? Which in turn, it's like a completely different demographic. But I guess from a business perspective, provides a whole nother community, a whole nother like backing of people to sort of get into the same sort of weekend. And they're essentially going to be utilizing obviously similar equipment. I don't know how the exact logistics of the weekend works, whether this runs simultaneously to Oceania or if it's on a completely different day.
It is wild. Like the notion of new things in the space, even taking Hyrox as an example, people still see Hyrox as a new kid on the block. But the reality of it, Hyrox has been around for a lot of years now. Like I remember 2020, 2019, I actually can't remember what year it started, but I started seeing it around 2020, 2019, 2020. And I remember thinking to myself, at that point, it was only a few people here or there that I saw that were doing it. I'm like, oh, what is this crazy thing? Like, it's not going to gain any traction. I think the first thing that caught my eye was that they had some decent sponsors. Puma was on board. But it's not as much of an overnight success as what people think. They actually did put in a lot of time before it blew up.
It was the international break that sort of, I think, made it aware to everyone, right?
Because it started in the States.
Yes, and it was there for a long time, and it was when they made that. And I don't know what the catalyst for that was, whether they had more backing or whether it was like they were just getting the business to a certain point before they sort of pulled the trigger on going international. But that's obviously when, I feel like it went from that, like, that instant, what seemed like an instant blow up was that.
Look, it ticks the box of so many things that's required to make a model work. They can get huge numbers of participation. Logistically, it's large just because of the scale, but logistically, it's actually not difficult if you think about it. Like the amount of moving parts is nowhere near what there are in a CrossFit comp.
Yeah.
The amount of people you can get doing it is, way, way more than you'll ever get at a CrossFit comp, just because of logistics.
Yeah.
And I would argue that the events that have been selected probably were with that foresight.
Yeah. And even
I don't think it's an accident.
No. The conversation as well around just like barrier to entry, obviously, right? Like what it takes for someone to get to the point where they feel comfortable to sign up to a Hyrox. Like I've had clients that may never have considered doing CrossFit competitions before be like, yeah, I want to do a Hyrox because the barrier to entry is much more achievable for many. I think they do that right. I think they definitely have a golden goose when it comes to the event, the event itself. Cool. All right, let's run through some of these workouts.
Let's do it.
So the one thing I'll say with these workouts too is like this is where I come to what is the conversation around the level of programming to the relative target of athlete. That is the only thing where I look at certain things and I go, I don't know if this completely lines up with the target demographic to the expectations of what some of these events are. And I only say that in the context of like, I think that the workout should definitely be difficult because you are still trying to give a higher level of programming experience to people. But at the same time, you also don't want like 90% of your field just being capped in like every single workout, right? Because it's like, you want things to be hard and you don't want, it's not like everyone has to finish a workout. Like I say that even with like programming some of the stuff in like the affiliate, it's like not every workout every day needs to be finished by every single person in that class, right? Because otherwise you're doing a disservice to some other people, right? But in saying that, some of these events I can like, and just by looking at the field, I already know that it's going to be like a very difficult task for a lot of people.
Well, yeah, straight away with this one, it's the weights, right? It's like they're chunky weights. I
Even
think
for the scaled event, bro, the 90 and 70 kilos for like the last bar
that's no
of the
joke.
that's it's like, yeah. So the workout itself on paper, I'm like, is dope. Like, it's a great workout. Like, I know that he mentioned that like Kiefer programmed all of the workouts. So Kiefer Lemmy from Proven. So it's like, it's not in the context of the workouts themselves. It's always just like, you know, maybe like what was the context given, like as the workouts were programmed, was it maybe a different level of athlete that was expected versus how the workouts have actually been set for those people. This workout here is definitely no joke. A 7-minute cap. We've got 15 clean and jerks at 85-60, 10 at 105 and 75, and 5 clean and jerks at 125 and 90. That last bar for a lot of that field is like a 1 hour.
And I think it's even disproportionately heavier for the women too.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think you'll have more at the level we're talking. You'll have more gents that can get a couple of reps in at 125. I think it'll be very few females that can get it at 90.
Yeah,
and 5 reps.
Mm-hmm. It's like, as a barbell battery test goes, right? Like, we're obviously trying to get people to be able to push, to actually get some reps at that last bar, but how people pace it, depending on where that is for their percentile, like people are doing, whether it's I think most people in this field are going to be doing one every 15 to 20 seconds, even on that like first bar. And like that gets them to like 4 minutes, 3.5 minutes, 4 minutes, and they're done the first bar. Like, I think a lot of people are going to be fighting for a single repetition of that last barbell. And then there might be those few people that are, you know, we've seen some invites and stuff like that last year, looking at the field on both sides. Like, there is some like athletes that potentially may get this done, but I think it's like 5% of the field.
Yeah, you look at the weights and it's very easy to look at that last bar, but I always try and look at, especially in this situation, that first bar weight, 85, 60, 15 reps, especially being clean and jerk, not just a clean, that, you know, this level of athlete is obviously going to be able to do that weight, and they might be able to do 3 to 5 quickly, but the drop off from 3 to 5 reps to 15 reps is huge. Huge. Then we go to 10 at 105-75, and they're already going to be in like, you talk about being mentally broken, that's where it's going to happen. And it's a case of, I don't know. For me, I just think it should have been a little bit lighter. For the brief that we've been given in regards to who this event is for, even if it was just subtly lighter, like I'm thinking, even if you go 80, 100, 120, and then you go 55, 70, 85, that's completely different psychologically.
Yeah.
And even from a 1 arm REM perspective, like we talk about the psychology of certain numbers, there's going to be exponentially more people that have a 1 RM of 120 clean and jerk than 125.
Yeah.
And there's going to be way more chicks that can do 85 than 90. Like 90 is a big barrier for a lot of women.
Yes, no, I agree. And the other thing, from a time cap perspective, they're changing their weights too. So it's not through barbells. So they've got to change and adjust their bars as well. So yeah, it's definitely tight. And once again, it's like looking at this workout, like if that was, you know, for the weekend gone, it would be a completely different conversation. It's just we're viewing, I guess, our comments based off the lens that we've been given for the demographic of this competition, right? And so it's like,
for me, this holds up. This could hold up as a Taurian test.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you do this fast, it's still going to be very, very nasty. So I think it's a good workout. It's got nothing wrong with it. My only issue is context.
Yeah.
But that's all part of the learning. right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. And like when I sort of like I had a call with the crew that were doing this, and it's a mix across, right? And the conversation is going to vary very differently for people who are looking at that last barbell as something where they're fighting to get 1 or 2 reps at it, versus the arguably the tiebreak time, which may be to get to that barbell. Because once again, that jump is so huge. It isn't something where it's like, all right, we're going to finish the last bar and then I can get it. Like some people are like, I'm not within 10 kilos of that barbell. Like I would have to then PR my clean and jerk by 10 kilos or
10
something.
kilos,
like after doing 25 repetitions here, probably arguably with 8 seconds left on the clock. So like, it's one of those things where if you're someone who's approaching this to get a single repetition at it, you'll be trying to find a cadence that mathematically gets you to that barbell with 30, 40 seconds left on it, because one repetition at this last barbell is going to be a huge separator for that field. And so I think if,
sure.
anyone listening to this that's looking at that as I can potentially get a repetition, the way that you approach it isn't going to be in the same context of people who are essentially racing for 25 repetitions here.
No, like I even think of myself like doing this workout and like it's a good workout, but it's still hard. Like I don't look at it and think this is easy by any stretch.
No, not at all. Like you said, this here, like going from the 15, like those first few repetitions here, they're going to be absolutely savage.
Gnarly. Yeah.
Absolutely savage. All right.
So sorry, is it 2-day comp?
It is a
3-day comp.
They have 3-day competition. Yeah. Because this time they split it. Well, so last year when we did it, they did the teams separate. So it was like indie and then teams. This year, it's indie and teams across the whole weekend.
Okay.
So they've spread it. Yeah. Which logistically, I think makes a little bit more sense, right? Because it would encourage people to sort of watch it. I know last time that like, I'm sure that the vibe for the teams after all the indies and stuff like that were done probably definitely wasn't on the same level. So hopefully keeping some people around definitely helped that. All right, this next one. So we've got 4 rounds for time. We've got a 600 and a 500 meter row. So 600 for guys, 500 meter for ladies. And then you go into 1 round, 15 meter sandbag carry, 100 meter run, 15 meter farmer's carry with 2. They're the sandbag. I'm assuming they're like the rogue jerry can type situations. Yeah. 100 meter run and then a dual dumbbell overhead carry to 25s, 15s, and then another 100 meter run, and then you start again. We don't know like the exact course for this. So I think like, that's going to play a role whether that 100 meter run ends up looking like something that you can't really accelerate into, right? Like if it's a constant sort of change of direction, that's going to be quite different to if it's something like, the other year where there was like around the sort of building and a little bit more circular, and you can actually sort of set a stride, set a pace, and sort of actually run into it. I think that's going to change whether that run looks like a recovery or something that's actually where you're actually able to make a little bit of separation, especially knowing that the row is meters, and as we've, as every conversation goes, the ability for you to actually create separation on the rower, arguably in many circumstances, is not relative to the effort required for you to gain the 5 to 10 seconds.
Especially the shorter the distance, the more that holds true.
Yes. Because it's like for you to go from obviously that I've actually had some I had some like exact numbers for it too, actually, which was like the relative effort in wattage for how that like works for calories to meters. So it was like, what was it here? It was like, so like if you're rowing at like 1,000 cals an hour for, was it? So 200 watts, so 1,000 cals an hour, you'll finish in 2 minutes. 300 watts, where you'd go to 1335, you would finish at 145, right? So like in meters, it's 15 seconds faster. But if it was calories for the same distance, it would be a minute
Yeah, it's so
faster.
disproportionate.
So
It's
it's
crazy.
like you're talking like 15 seconds versus like, yeah, nearly like 45 to 60 seconds for arguably the same 500 meters, just whether it's written as meters or calories, which is crazy.
Literally. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like this one. I think the loading seems appropriate. It's doable, but it will get challenging. I think the 100-meter runs, I think that'll be where a lot of the moves are made. That's where you would have the opportunity to slack off mentally, I think.
Yeah.
So it'll be the difference between people who are using that to recover a little bit versus the people that are looking to push. So I think in the context of this one, and I mean, you got 300 meters per round, so that's not insignificant.
No, 1,200 meters of running, yeah, just under a mile. And that's, like I said, the format in which it's laid out, like I said, does make a big difference. Like whether you are constantly having to decelerate, around sharp turns, like if it is something as simple as like a 25-meter square or something like that,
Yeah.
That might look a lot different to what it looks like to be a 100-meter loop, because...
Well, we've seen it at Down Under as well, where they do it on the oval, and obviously that's a lot larger. But
yeah,
from a competing perspective and a viewing perspective, it's good because you can see where everyone's at.
Yeah.
If you want to try and mow people down, you can, you've got that visual cue of knowing, what you got to do. And the same as if you're being chased and you don't want to get caught, you can sort of see where people are at. And I think from a viewing perspective as well, it allows the crowd to know what's going on with the race.
Yes. Yeah, versus when they're just like outside and you have no idea where anyone is. Yeah, it definitely makes it more of a spectator. And like I'd assume there's going to be some sort of loop, more so maybe just the fact that they have that P1 event, that there is going to be some sort of like track orientated. So like how they set this up, maybe relative to that.
Yeah, I'm
not certain, but like I've definitely like sort of changed the recommendation of strategy just based on how that run actually looks, because like I said before, the making up time on the rower, it's like you're going to have those like people who are just arguably able to expend the extra 3 to 5 second pace for relatively the same amount of effort, and that's just going to add up over the course of those 4 rounds, right? But really, it's still only 25 seconds maybe that someone's going to gain on you.
Well, I think I would be looking at it, if I had athletes in this, I would be looking at it from a perspective of I would tell them to legitimately sprint everything that's not on the rower, and I would just tell them to use the rower as recovery.
Yeah, 100%. It's like because all these carriers, it's all time under tension, right? That's why I was like sort of talking to people last night. It's like if you pick up that sandbag, bro, you don't, like, you're running. You're gonna run with that sandbag. You're gonna go quick. Like it's not the same as like people doing those like 40-minute EMOMs or these big long slog pieces and sort of just like waddling back and forth with it. It's like you don't want to hold that thing for any longer. You want to try and make up as much possible time in this block as you possibly can. So yeah,
so I see it as like a nasty sprint, and then if you can recover at like a 220, 215 on the rower, on the slow end for a guy, I reckon that'll hold you in good stead because you're just not going to give up enough time.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So that's the same day, or is that then? So that rounds out day one.
Yeah, so that rounds out day one. So that's event 1 and 2. So obviously from a time perspective, this is the longest workout so far that's been announced for the weekend. So they've paired that with.
I still think this is way less nasty than that run last year.
I think that was Dean's comment on it. He's like, we should have done another 1.6K sandbag run. Dude,
they could have made that their thing. They could have made it their thing.
Sandbag run. You know what? Maybe that's what did my back in.
Maybe. There's every chance.
I'm pretty sure I definitely like got half a foot shorter after that event. There's no doubt about it.
It was nasty to watch.
Yeah. All right, so this is event 1 of day 2. So flight path, we've got a 45-meter handstand walk, 30 alternating dumbbell snatches, 300 dubs, 30 alternating dumbbell snatch, 45-meter handstand walk. The only thing that really changes for the other divisions is it's a slightly shorter handstand walk, and the dumbbell load, I'm pretty sure it's still 5-meter increments for the elites as well. So the actual bind distance doesn't change, just the total distance, and the dumbbell load changes slightly as well. So I like this one. I definitely think there's going to be a lot of people that get capped on this.
Oh, for sure. Well, you look at it, you got 300 double unders. Even if you're going unbroken, that's 3 minutes. Maybe just under, best case scenario. So you got 7 minutes to, you look at how fast can you humanly go on the dumbbell snatch. You're looking at probably 1:15 for a set of 30 at a bit heavier. So you got 2.5 minutes there. That's 5.5 minutes. And then 90 meters of handstand walk in 5 minutes, like that. That's testing a lot of people.
So it's a lot. And like those speeds that you mentioned too are obviously people like they're pushing this
completely unbroken,
right?
And just
Unbroken.
Going,
Like they're not like, making strategic adjustments to how they're breaking up their sets. Like that's going. So that's going to make things really tight when you consider that no one's doing 300 double unders unbroken here. Like that's like, if someone whips out 300 double unders unbroken in this workout, I'll be watching the live stream going because it's not
well done. I'll just clap. It's I think the double unders will be a huge separator, to be honest with you, especially over 300. You start getting in the weeds, you start getting frustrated with tripping. Those trips can start taking 5-10 seconds each. If it was less, you can sort of push through to get to that 150-200 mark, but that extra 100 to make to 300 is going to test a lot of people. The shoulders are going to be pretty cooked from handstand walking into dumbbell snatching.
I agree. The workout, in my opinion, starts from like 150, 200 double unders. Like it's where people are going to get to that point. And it's either going to be how they chose to approach that first bit is going to essentially make the second half of that double under much more successful. It's essentially like the global limiter for this workout, he said, is those 300 double unders. So I think how people look at this first section and the strategy in which they take is going to be very conducive for success for this 300, especially at the, like big crew that are even in that like middle bracket as well. Like I think that the dumbbell's like a bit of a bait in terms of it's probably one of those things where people can hold on to a lot bigger sets than realistically what they'd want to before going into 300 double unders, especially at that like lighter load. Like I don't think anyone's realistically looking at that load as something that's like a scary component to them.
I'd look at it and even start thinking along the lines of, maybe doing 20 regular, but then doing your last 10 dumbbell snatch as singles. So when I say singles is instead of trying to switch mid at hair, you let the dumbbell get to the ground and then you switch. That's just going to help you grip a little bit. It's going to allow you to breathe a little bit more controlled and under a good cadence. And the other thing I think that people don't talk about enough is with handstand walking is it's one of the very few movements in our sport where going faster is actually less fatiguing because it's just a time under tension thing. So I think people don't put enough onus on just try and walk as fast as you can because with most other movements, there's a cost to it, right? The faster you cycle, the more it's going to take out of you. Whereas I find with handstand walk, it's allowing you to be upside down for less time on your shoulders. And you're going to, I find there's a sort of a sweet spot where you can almost outrun fatigue a little bit if you can go fast enough.
Yeah, no, agree. Rope climbs, handstand walking, the things where it's like, all right, just the cadence of these have to be fast, right? So it's like, and if you are someone who's breaking, it's like you're breaking it into the context of like being able to sustain a speed, being able to like maintain a walking cadence that actually is aggressive. So you're not just like really slowing down and spending a lot more time like on your hands than is needed.
Well, just on this first section, in this first section alone, the handstand walk, the difference between a very fast handstand walker and a, let's even just say average handstand walker could be like 30 seconds just for that section.
Yeah. I mean, not to throw her under the bus here, but like with the handstand walk event from Torian this past weekend, handstand walking speed is something that me and like bros have been working on, right? Because she's like confident on her hands, but just slow. And like she got to the handstand walk first and was like 10 meters deep into the handstand walk. And then you had people like Daisy McDonald
away,
and like said to literally just kick up and just like motor down. And it was like, I was in the crowd with obviously everyone from Grit. So she goes to the handstand walk first and everyone's like, yeah, I'm like sitting next to someone. I'm like, they're going to mow it down in like 5 seconds.
You
She's like halfway across the field and everyone's just like, and it's like, it is so true. It's like the people that are like able to, and like that was one of those things too, where they would have finished that handstand walk and arguably probably felt a lot better than what Broads did, just because of how they were able to execute and approach it with speed. So.
And it's even how it's set out. Like personally, I like it when it is like a Taurine where it's one long length.
Yeah.
I think when it's the forced breaks, that can actually, like, it ends up making me feel more fatigued because it is stretching out that time. Whereas if I see the long length, you're sort of incentivized to try and just get it done unbroken, and it incentivizes the speed as well because it's a momentum thing. And I often find with handstand walk speed, it's just a mindset shift. So, like say Brady, for example, it's not a skill issue. Like she's confident on her hands. It's just that mindset shift of allowing. It's like taking the brakes off and just going with it. And it'll take a little bit of practice because you might overcook it sometimes and then just fall over. Yeah. But it is all just about taking your foot off the brake and allowing the momentum to just take you. And then it's almost like you're running on your hands as opposed to
legit just building confidence in that cadence of like your hands.
Because it does feel a little bit out of control. So I think it's scary at first because it feels like you're a slave to that movement. Whereas it's sort of, once you harness it, it's not too bad.
Yeah, so I guess like even just like similar to running, right? Like when you get someone to sort of build a cadence of running, like some people that are like, they're running at like a 70 constantly and you're like, all right, we need to increase our running cadence. And they're like, oh, this feels so weird. Like this is so abnormal for them because they're used to taking these like bigger strides. They're obviously much slower in their cadence. So it is similar with a handstand walk. People sort of build this cadence that they have and they feel comfortable with it and they do get like confident on their hands, but to then adjust that to actually get someone to go faster, like you said, it is a shift that they have to make.
For sure. So yeah, I like this event. I think it's good. I think that time cap will be tight again for the type of athlete that we've got going here. But yeah, the weights are good. It's going to be challenging, but it works. You know, this is all shoulders.
All shoulders.
Basically.
Yeah, it's like a very like redundant workout in the context of the interference. But yeah, definitely like the event. I'm excited to see this one, and the competent handstand walkers and skippers are going to show. That's for sure. Here we go. Under pressure. This is actually probably my like favorite event from a perspective of like doing the workout.
Yeah.
So we've got under pressure. This is the second event of day 2. So event 4, we've got 2 minutes on, 1 minute off. So this is that trending 2-2-2-3 format of event. We've got a buy-in 15, 11 C2 by calories, 3 rope climbs for the guys. It's going to be 2 legless and then 1 legged. And then for the women, it's going to be 1 legless and 2 legged. And then you've got max front squats in remaining time at 60-40 with the nuance to this is the legless rope climbs you're not allowed to jump to start. Okay. So that would be, that was like one of the standards here. Athletes begin standing on the floor beneath the rope, no jumping to permitted. So, because that was in testing, I'd say like it's going to be faster than what it is in testing, just knowing the height of the rigs. You know, a lot of the time they are those like 12-foot sort of rigs, a little bit shorter, like, you know, the outside sort of Taurine rigs where some of the taller athletes like myself can basically jump, do one
pull,
grab and touch like every time. And it basically just becomes like a vertical jump, like in comparison to.
Well, it honestly just becomes who can descent the fastest.
Yeah. And that was the other conversation around this as well, was like, you know, you don't want to tell people to just like reckless abandonment from the top, but realistically, that's like what a lot of people who are going to be doing the fastest are. It's going to be just like dropping from the top, not worrying about J-hooking for that descent, you know, and just touch and drop and then repeat this process because it is not that high. It's just obviously having people have the confidence to do so. You know, I'm not going to tell someone to do something that's against their own, you know, the safety requirements. But if you're trying to go fast in this workout, you're dropping from the top of that rope, no questions asked.
I think the most efficient way to get down is the fireman clamp with the legs, and then again, it's
One
a skill
regrip.
you have to practice, but you have one grab on the way down to decelerate a little bit, and then you just dropping the rest.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, being able to just shoot your legs through, one regrip, let your legs actually carry that momentum back, and then hit the ground, because
Exactly.
the momentum of the leg swing is going to like drift you a little bit further back from where the rope is. You'll finish in a good spot and then go again. The bike itself as a buy-in, I know like just from seeing some people test this, the people that did really well sent that bike way harder, like as in they weren't looking at this as a, but this is possible to get done into.
For sure. That's where my mind goes straight. I'd be trying to get it done in 2 just because I don't want to do another interval, right?
Yeah. And like for that to be the case, it's something that, people are going to have to be super, super aggressive on that C2 bike, not even consider the fact that you want to do any more than 2. I think like just seeing the way that some people approached it was still obviously aggressive here, but like not as full send as it demands if you want to get a solid time on this. I don't know whether it doesn't say anything about the front squats being progressed along the field, because obviously that might slightly change something if that's the case. Whether it's just barbell in the same spot and you get to go back to it, what that sort of transition looks like across the field. Because that was obviously, like, I remember last time in the interval one, you had to cross the line on the other side as well within the same interval. So there will be some like other sort of considerations to make on the day, but I think this will be a super fun one to watch, especially for those people who are going to be trying to get it done in 2.
Yeah, I think it's a mindset thing again with this one. If you're going to attack it, you got to attack it hard and just hope the wheels don't fall off. But I think the trade-off is worth it. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck in the weeds and you're going to be deep in that 3-minute trying to get those done.
Yes. Yeah. It's going to be like flying a little too close to the sun in this one. I think actually does have a payoff, right? Because even if you get super close, you have one more interval. At least you like, you'd rather miss out by like 3 reps and then just know that this next rep's a slog, but it's done, and you're attempting to get it done in 2. Like as terrible as that 3rd interval would feel, but it's like that you could scrape in a couple of reps even with a slower C2 bike. Yes, it's like right there. So I think there actually is a lot of benefit in flying a little too close to the sun and trying to be a little bit more aggressive than potentially some testing times here, knowing that the rope's going to be a little bit shorter also. So this is the 5th event. So actually I've released the schedule 1, 2, 3, 5. So I'm assuming that the cut is it's called the cut based on the fact that they were going to cut the field in half. So they'll probably go into top 16 and then top 8. Because they did leave a comment orientated around there's still 2 workouts to be announced. They had in that there was a huge separator, quote unquote, and in the standards they had a handstand ramp and they had swimming as well. I can't imagine it's a swim, because I feel like you would have to notify people if there was a swim, right, to actually come prepared. So it's like I can't see it. And I remember looking at like the Royal Pines like venue, and they have a pool, but it's like a you go to like Wet and Wild or something, and they've got the big like circle things,
it's the
like
bean pool, style pool.
So it's like that. So I can maybe more so seeing their like quote unquote big separator being a handstand ramp. They obviously have not put in any ring muscle ups or bar muscle ups or anything like that. So, or any just like realistically outside of the toaster bar in this workout, like hanging gymnastics. So that's more than likely going to show itself in these like later events. And then, because this is formatted realistically as the recipe for a final, right? Finish with a lunge type thing. So like when you look at it, you're like, oh, is this? But the fact that it's called the cut, I am assuming that there is something else to come. And then they said there's a big separator. So with this one, 45 toaster bar, 30 line facing burpees, 15 meter dual dumbbell front rack lunge with a 30 and 22, 6-minute cap. I think at this level, like everyone's getting this done. It's just how fast. I can't see, like in comparison to the other workouts where we've said that, it's going to be tough to sort of get some of these workouts done. This is one that I see everyone getting done. I know that the biggest separator here is obviously going to be these 30 line facing burpees and the midline / like hip flexor fatigue that comes from those 45 toes to bar and how that affects those 15 to 30 burpees is going to be the case. Like I think a lot of people in this field could arguably do 45 unbroken toes to bar. And if there's an athlete here that can do the 45 unbroken, sustain a consistent cadence of line facing burpees, and then the lunge, that it's like they're in like a certain category and it's like they're racing against the people who have that in their back pocket. Whereas for some other athletes, a strategic break on those toe to bar before those burpees might be something worth considering, because realistically the deterioration of that rep speed over the course of 15 to 30 reps, like going from a 1.8 second burpee to a 3-second burpee over 15 plus reps is a big difference. And you taking 7 seconds on a break for a toe to bar is, potentially something that could help save that. But what's your initial thoughts when you look at this?
I like it. I think I like when, again, we're not sure with the context of this in regards to whether there's an event after it, but it has got that final feel just because of the time domain, and it's got that dumbbell lunge finish, so typical of a final event.
Yeah.
I don't think 15 meters is not an insignificant distance. Is it going to be enough to be a separator? I don't think so. So I think you're right in regards to it's going to be made or broken in those line-facing burpees. I would say for this level of athlete too, there's no real need to go to 45 unbroken. Toes to bar, one of those movements where it is so fast to take a break. Like it's probably the fastest gymnastics movement to just jump down, shake out your arms and jump back up. Like the cost of it is, 100% under 10 seconds, potentially even 5 seconds.
Yeah.
So I think if it's going to allow you to go faster on the burpees, that's definitely the play. And then you just have to pick up the dumbbells. You're not going to want to, and not put them down. And lunge fast.
Lunge fast.
Like we said on the handstand walk, there is also a big difference between going unbroken and then going unbroken slowly and unbroken fast.
Yep. And we saw was it like Ellie Turner nearly like mowed down someone in the lunge last weekend.
She made up about 10 meters, 10, 15 meters.
It's crazy. So just having that like faster lunge cadence, it was actually unfortunate because I think the other girl she nearly mowed down got away with like dropping the dumbbells sort of like a bit early before standing up and then crossing the line. I was like, man, I actually wish she got her on that, because that shouldn't have counted. But nonetheless, here, the front rack standard as well, if they follow the same as what they had with the qualifier, it's not like that true front rack. It's like
you can have them on your back, basically.
Well, more like full hand has to be on the dumbbell, but they can sort of be resting on your shoulders, right? So it's like if it was something where it was like maybe a true front rack or like an overhead sort of lunge, that there probably would be a lot more interference coming off those burpees and maybe more of like are you going to take a break at some point? Is that overhead position or that front rack position going to break down?
These ones you can just chuck them on your shoulders.
And go, yeah. It's basically just like
it'll still be hard.
Be hard. But I don't think anyone's going to like crumble on that lunge like there would be if it was like an overhead lunge or something.
No, if it was overhead, this would be diabolical. I would say that was if it was overhead lunge, that's the workout.
Yes.
But
yeah, completely different approach to it.
Alas, it's not.
Yeah, break the toes to bar to be able to sustain a consistent cadence across the burpees, because that's definitely the universal separator of this workout. And lunge fast.
100%.
I think that.
So that's all the ones they've released. So we're saying
that
there's 2 more. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, 2 more was what they made the
alluded to.
alluded to in the Instagram post that they made. And I know last year they posted the final 2 workouts like on the day. So that's more than likely what it's looking like, is that they'll probably post them as the weekend comes up, whether that's just to, make it more of a gamified a little bit more, or whether they're finalizing some specific things. Like, I'm not too sure, but it would be cool to see something different, like I said, they had the handstand ramp in the standards, but once again, I sort of fall back to that, like a handstand ramp as a skill, it's like, it's a high level skill, man. Like, so it'll be interesting to see if that comes out, how that looks for a lot of people. Like, I even know in the crew, like, there's people who are like somewhat like competent at it. There's some individuals that are just like extremely competent at it, but then being somewhat competent at it, just practicing it, going back and forth when you're just like mucking around doing it, is very different to being like ski erg, handstand ramp. You know what I mean? Like, it's very, very different. So it'll be interesting to see how that unfolds, if that is the case. Like, we don't know. I just sort of seen it in the standard, and I thought it would be weird to put it in the standard if it wasn't something that,
just to scare people.
Whether it was like, here's a, something like, I know CrossFit Crash, when they post their standards, they post every single movement that's like in the handbook,
in
essentially.
CrossFit,
yeah, they put like a swim and stuff in there, even though it's in like the middle of nowhere type thing. So it's like, there's going to be a swim, but it's more so just to be prepared for anything. Whereas I feel like in this competition, they posted the standards based around what the programming was going to be. So that's my assumption there. But that's all the workouts. I mean, good luck to everyone who's ripping into this competition, and like all the grit crew that's doing it as well. Good luck to the championship series with the event, and like the WFP collab, and hopefully that's something that's cool. Like, they've got a live stream for it. Will Murad is commentating on that live stream as well.
Oh, cool.
So it'll be interesting to see like how all of that unfolds. I know, one of the organizers was stoked with the actual venue as well, like being at Royal Pines, and being the fact that it is like an undercover but still sort of like outside event. And then be interesting to see how the P1 event goes too, because I've seen like Christina Ludovitakis was an invite for that too. They haven't put out any invites for the elite division for the actual Oceania, which I can imagine, being the fact that, Tyrion was last week, and the demographic, like, there's probably not a lot of people that are going to want to back that up. Yeah. Like, I spoke to some of the boys and stuff like that did it last year when I was at Torian, and they just said a similar thing, that they weren't going to do it because it was back to back. And that's obviously, once again, what the demographic and the play has been. But it was interesting to sort of hear people actually voice that exact concept. So
yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, like I said, good luck to all your crew. Good luck to everyone. I hope that it all goes smoothly. It's sort of peak fitness comp time of year. Like, there's 3 semi-finals this weekend as well. Yeah, you got this going on here in Oz. It's all going on. So if you're a fan of the sport, it's a nice time of the year. You're spoiled for choice.
Spoiled for choice, yeah. No, it's great to have these like extra competitions that we can do, especially being out stuck here on an island 14 hours from anywhere that's got any other significant competition, right? That's the more opportunities we get like this, and that's why I was very encouraging of like any of the crew within my circle to sort of look to do this, because realistically most people just have their blinders on for one competition in Australia a year, and for the sport to feel like there's more to it than that, I think that backing some of these sort of events will be important for the future. So yeah, good luck to them. And good luck to them.
Sounds good. Thanks, Toss.
Easy, man. Thank you.